I think it's happening. Is it happening? We're
Yeah, I
live.
think it's
Oh, the chat
happening.
went. I think it's happening.
I
Hello,
think it's happening.
everyone out there. Oh wait, I'm looking at.
We are
I'm looking
live.
at YouTube and I don't
And
see it.
Marie says,
Is it
yes, we are
happening?
live.
Oh, we are. Oh, good. There it is.
Yes,
There it is. There it is. Okay,
it's good.
perfect. There's just a delay. That's all. It's in case we say a bad word so that we can get zapped. Anyway, hi.
Oh,
Welcome to welcome to Virtual TrekCon 3. Oh, that's so sweet. Hey, Anne Marie. Welcome to Virtual TrekCon 3, and welcome to the Lambda Quadrants panel about 3D printing and what's wrong with my replicator.
yay.
Yay! I thank you so much, Virtual TrekCon, and Ryan and everyone for having us here yet again. We really do
Yes.
appreciate it. We love you guys so much. Anne Marie, of course. How could I? Hey, remember that time I was in New York? I don't, because I was drunk. No, I do remember. No, but
That's
thank
a
you so
nice
much for
opening
having
line there, Randy.
us. We went to a bodega. It was a whole thing. It was amazing. But we really do appreciate you all having us here and having us back and being able to do things. This is our first panel of a few. That was the best night. It was really good. We went to Marie's Crisis. Anyway, sorry. We really do appreciate being able to be here and join in on the fun with everyone. It's so much fun. It's exciting. We love it. Obviously, we've
Yeah,
done online stuff for a while now, so we're
I
used to it.
know.
Oh my
It's
God, you
starting to
went to
go
the
back in
same
person.
one. It is starting to go back in person. Yes, it is. It is.
It is
So we
starting to
won't
go back in
have to
person.
do online stuff anymore. Speaking of which, the first one is going to be in less than a month now.
Less than a
We'll
month.
be in Chicago. We still
That's
have a big
right.
announcement that we can't make, but we will be there. We will have a table.
Yes.
We will be selling stuff. We will be doing stuff. We will be inviting you into our safe space. Thanks, Linda. Oh, that's so sweet. There's Linda from YouTube saying,
Yay.
hey. We will
Yes.
be inviting you into our safe space. I have to go to Chicago. I will tell you, Anne Marie, later what's going on, but there's a lot.
There's a lot. We're
There's a
excited.
lot.
We're
There's a
really
lot. We're
excited.
very, very, very excited.
Very,
So
very
we're getting ready
excited.
for that, and then already kind of preparing for STLV, at least thinking about it.
Mostly
So
Randy's prepping for all of his 3D printing that he will
right,
talk
that I
about
have to
in a
do
little
continuously, which you can see in the background, which I'll get to in a
bit.
minute.
Is it going
Um, it's going right
right
now. Yeah,
now?
it is.
It is
Of
going right
course,
now.
it's going 24 hours a day. This is our manufacturing plant back here.
Yay.
Oh,
David, we
great.
are excited to
Awesome.
see you in Chicago.
We have new stuff. I always
And
try and have something
yeah.
new as many times as I can. My electricity bill is terrible, Anne Marie. It's really bad. But it's fine. It pays for itself
Fine.
eventually
Fine.
somehow.
Fine.
I always try and have new stuff. I do have one that I will show you one of the new things with me today when I go through some of the stuff that I'm talking about. But we do have new stuff that will be at Chicago that we've never had
Yeah.
before, and not
Yeah.
anyone honestly that I've ever seen before. I've never seen these things at for sale anywhere, and we made them. So exciting,
Exactly. Yep. So come
awesome.
say, if you are in Chicago, come say hi. Like you said, we will have a table. Come say hi to us.
Yes,
Come see all
yes.
the
And
crazy,
anyone that's
very
with
beautiful
us,
rainbowy things.
right? Yes,
Yes.
lots of rainbow stuff. Yes.
Rainbow things. Love
I got my own power plant.
it.
Yeah, it's a
It kind
wind
of looks
power
that
plant,
way.
and I don't have cancer. It's amazing. It does kind of look that way. I'm having an Irish whiskey tonight because it's St.
Oh,
Patrick's Day.
it's St. Patty's Day. Yes. Happy St. Patrick's
I know
Day.
we're supposed to talk about 3D printing, but I just wanted to, give everyone time to get in because I'm sure they were just at another panel or whatever and sort of
Right.
ease over to our channel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. No,
So
totally
yeah.
understandable.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're doing that. What else is going on? We I don't know what else is going that we can actually talk about. Maybe nothing else.
Um, if you have not seen our social recently, Randy and I, since we are the LA crew, half of the crew, we did go to the 10
10
Forward pop-up
forward
bar
together. Oh my God.
together.
It
It was
was so much fun.
so fun. I do
So
hope,
much
I've
fun.
seen a lot of people comment on social media that they want it at Star Trek Mission Chicago or at SCLV. I have no idea if they will, but I hope they do because it was very well done. The staff was great.
So
They
well
had
done.
people dressed up in full on makeup as, was it a Romulan or a Vulcan? See, that's what I think, it was a Romulan. and then the
Was it? I
Andorian.
don't know. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I
See,
couldn't tell you.
I
Yeah.
didn't ask.
Right, I didn't ask.
um,
The Andorian knew what was up though, because I asked her how she's doing, and she's like, "It's kind
yes,
of warm here on Earth." I was like, "Oh, she did her
yes,
homework."
yes. So it was very good. If
Yes.
you are in LA, I hope you get a chance to go. It was sold out very, very quickly. But we do have some goodies that we brought back that eventually we will do something with and sell or auction off or give away or something. But
Yes, we do
yes,
have
we
some
have some
goodies. We
fun merch
do
that we got
have
there.
some goodies for sure.
Yes.
As well as all the stuff that we bought for ourselves that's just hanging out in my
I,
I have the
what,
apron, it's hanging in my
wait,
kitchen.
I can't. It's
Or
right.
the tray. It's that way. It's
There.
that
It's there.
way. That way.
It's
That
backwards. The
way.
camera's
It's
backwards.
that
Like
way.
it's
I
right
know. It's
there. It's
over
all
right
that stuff
there.
right
Yeah,
there.
there it is. Yeah, do that. Do that. Point at it. Point it. Actually
Do
point
that.
it.
Exactly.
Yes. So that was so much fun. It was really cool. Yeah, I hope they bring
Oh,
it somewhere else
oh,
because it was fun.
oh, oh. You came to the right place, Jesse. You came
Would
to the
you
right
now?
place.
I can show one. Look, there's one.
And there it is. I love it.
I have it for the example, so I can talk about it. And I have some. I have another rainbow thing that I'm going to have at the convention as well. That's not Star Trek related, but since I have some left over,
Yes,
waste not, want not. Um,
exactly.
awesome. Oh, make a necklace. Oh yeah, I can make them different sizes. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
interesting with the rainbow effect. I'd have to print like 100 at once. Anyway, so we are here to talk about 3D printing. So 3D printing,
Yay.
3D printing, 3D printing. Yes. Now enough people are here, I assume. So we had another panel a little while ago that was kind of a little bit more basic. We're going to call this level 2 3D printing, but you don't have to necessarily have done it to kind of get the gist of what we're going to talk about, because I want people, either people who have been doing it or might want to do it, either way, to be able to kind of get information out of it that could be useful. So that being said, what we want to do is tell people how to get a better print out, because a common thing that people don't really get is that it's not as easy as you think it is. I love to spread the love of 3D printing and get people to do it. But as Callie, I forgot to say that Callie could not make it tonight. They were supposed to be on the stream with us, and they had some travel issues that they were unable to get around. And so they can't make it tonight. So we love you, Callie.
Yes. Yes, we
I'm
love
so
you.
sorry that you are not here.
Travel safe.
Yes,
travel safe,
Be
and
safe.
we will see you on our other panels later this weekend.
You will get to your final destination shortly. Yes, so
I am the fill-in, and by no means can do justice to whatever knowledge they have. I am here to just ask the questions that like people who don't 3D print or kind of know. That's my job. That's my job.
Right.
I will try.
I kind of like dragged them into it, and now they're just whole hog, like print. So I love it. I'm excited.
We have a question already.
Any tips? Yes. Put it in an enclosure. That's what I say. They do make enclosures, and they also sell like kits for enclosures. One of the good enclosures for a 3D printer is actually those cheap tables that they have at IKEA, those like square ones, and you just put it over it, and then you just put like plexiglass on it. Even make a door. I've seen that a lot. So put it in an enclosure if the pet hair is getting to it, because the pet hair can cause problems. Actually, it'll clog up the thing. Yeah, I don't have any pets, so I'm good there, but it can be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
First tip of the day: put it in an enclosure.
There we go.
That's also necessary. People, when you get the rolls of filament to print with, there's a certain type of plastic. It's ABS is the name of the plastic. IKEA names. Yeah.
Yes, lack. That is
for sure. Yeah, there's a lot I lack, and there. ABS plastic that you get to print with actually is really temperamental when it comes to temperature around it, like ambient temperature. It'll just curl up. So you want to put it in an enclosure to keep the temperature the same all around it. So that's a tip for printing with specifically that type of plastic. I never use ABS because of that, because it's really annoying. Like literally the air conditioner bothers it. It's like an old lady. Like it's the worst thing in the world. So I never print with ABS. I just use PLA, which is the most common one, and it's way easier to print with. So pro tip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pro tip. There you
go. Everything that I make is made out of PLA.
Oh, there you go. So what's like item number 1 on the agenda? Because I know.
All right. So item number 1 on the agenda is finding a good STL or print. So STL is the file name that you'll download off of the internet. It's the like file name extension, and it's basically just a 3D image kind of situation that you can pop into your program to send it to the printer. So finding a good STL is the first thing. This I have a fun story about that. Oh, I don't have one with me. I sold them all. That's why. But when we were at Gallifrey One recently, and I had the Weeping Angels, it was really hard to find a model of that. So the 3D model comes out as an STL file, and it was really hard to find a good one. Like I looked around at different places, and they were all either like blobby and weird, or just super low res and like looked kind of crappy. And so I finally had to find one that I had to pay for, which is great because someone's out there like making these models and selling them. So that's another good thing that you can do, is support these artists that are out there actually making these models versus finding it on one of the free sites, which is what I did. Wanted to support that person. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl or what it was. So I was supporting that lovely person who created the STL for me. So the first thing is finding a good STL. Lots of places for that. I have some on my list. I'm going to negate Thingiverse. That's the most popular site, thingiverse.com. It's the most popular site right now, but it's actually terrible, and they keep changing it and making it harder. Yeah, if you have an ad blocker, they delete your account, or they close your account, or like they block your account. You can't log in anymore. It's really bad. And they used to be able to click a button and like download all the files that you needed, and now they've stopped that. They've made it harder. They got bought out by somebody, and they've ruined it. Same thing that happens to every nerd site on the face of the planet. So Thingiverse is kind of on the outs right now with people. My personal favorite, nice is different than good. Yeah, for sure. It's true. They were really good at one point though, but now they're on the outs. My favorite right now is Prusa Printers, which is the name of the printer that I have, which is behind me going. They have kind of taken over. Yeah, it is. It is. Is it still going? Still going. Still going. Still going. You can't really tell it's going, but I can get it moving around back there. I am printing Horgons for Chicago. Prusa Printers has kind of taken over the space, or at least trying to. They have kind of the same looking interface, but they're a really fun company. Their 3D printers are actually open source. You can download all the parts to build your own if you want to. Some things like the motors and stuff you can't obviously make. You have to buy the motors, but you can literally download every single part of the printer and build it yourself if you want to. And on top of that, they write the software that sends it to the printer. Isn't it cool? Yeah.
That's really cool.
I didn't print mine myself because my other printer was annoying. I had them actually build it and send it to me, which is a whole other topic. But you absolutely can. And if I wanted to print extra parts for it, I could just print out extra parts for it in case anything ever breaks or has a problem. It's kind of cool.
So you can have a 3D printer made up of 3D printed parts.
Yes, and I do. It is, yeah. Minus the electronics, obviously, but all the like weird like partsy parts are just 3D printed. Like they did it at the factory with Prusa 3D printers, and they work really well too, which is amazing. So I recently got mine. I can't talk about it enough. It's a lot of fun. Using general computer parts. Yeah, I bet you could, because it's just oh, sorry, I'm not answering the question. I'm not showing. Yeah, I'm sure so, because it's just like a printer. It's just a microcontroller, right? That's just moving things left and right and up and down and everything. So you totally could, yeah.
That's cool. There you go. For all of you engineering nerds,
do it.
Salute you. Go
so
for it.
Prusa Printers is one. The other two that I have on my list are Cult 3D, Cults CULTS 3D. We don't like them because they don't like to pay their artists, but they are out there. If you download something for free, that's fine. Grab it off of there. But if you pay for an STL off of Cults 3D, there's kind of a problem right now where they're not paying their artists, which really sucks. So avoid that. And then the other one is Thangs, THANGS, which is a good site. I don't have anything bad to say about it.
Well, there you go. And they pay their artists, I see.
As far as I know. Okay, yes. And there are other ones out there that you can look for as well. But right now, I started Prusa Printers just because I like their business model and how they're like open source hardware and the whole thing. It's kind of cool. So I love them.
That's cool.
So the first step is finding a good model to print out, right? There's a ton of them out there. And the way that you can kind of tell if it's a good model is just import it into your slicer. And your slicer is the thing that makes it so that the 3D printer can understand what's going on with it. Because you don't just send the 3D model to the printer, you send this other file. It's called a G code file, but it's basically just math that the little thing goes like left, right, up, down in the right order, spitting out filament as it goes along. And that's what the
Yes.
slicer does, right? So if you
Yes.
pop the file that you get into your slicer, you can see if it's good quality or not. You can kind of zoom in and look and see if it looks like poop. So that's a
Yeah.
good way to just drop it in there and see what it
Yes.
looks like.
Yeah. In the panel that we had before with Callie and myself, again, asking questions, they actually show a preview of what that looks like a
Oh,
thing
great.
in the slicer, a file in the slicer. So
And the slicer,
people
yes,
can go and rewatch that and kind of see that too. I'm sure
Yes,
there's
for
plenty
sure.
of videos on YouTube and things if you get stuck and you can Google something.
Yes. Oh, there's plenty. Oh my gosh, there's stuff everywhere. And that's actually my next topic is slicing the thing itself. There we go. It goes
Okay.
right into it.
Perfect segue.
So, and I have, what's funny, like I have like 5 different slicer programs that I use for various different things. There's actually one, I'll take a step back. There's another separate process altogether for resin printing versus
Oh,
um,
right.
FDM. FDM is like additive, like it's with the like hot melting plastic basically. And resin starts out as a liquid, and then a UV light shines on it, and it hardens, and it does that a million times while it goes up and down and prints things that come out of it.
I still haven't seen you do one of those
Oh,
yet.
nice.
Like in person, haven't seen one yet.
Oh,
Be
really?
interesting.
Oh, it
Yeah.
just finished. It's the one
course.
right here. That's the
Yes,
resin
the
printer.
yellowish colored one. Yes.
Yes. I'm sure I'll
Yeah.
have it going when you're over because I got to keep printing stuff. But yes. So there's a different slicer for that one versus the other one, right? Because
Okay.
the slicer for the FDM printer basically is math that like tells the little head where to go around. I wish it made food. Now I'm hungry. Thanks a lot. I can't eat anymore tonight. I can have whiskey though. The FDM slicer basically is just math that tells it like up, down, left, right. But the slicer for the resin one is kind of cool because basically what it does is it takes a 3D model and it slices it into like a million different images. That's just a cross section of these, kind of like an MRI.
Oh.
It just slices it and then it puts all of those individual things and then it just does one row at a time. And it's just a little image that's like a cross section of whatever it is.
Yeah, that's intriguing to me. You know me. I like sciencey
Right
medical
there.
things.
Yeah, I thought an MRI might get you. There you go. Resin printer that you print on
It did.
fabric with. No, print on fabric. Oh no, that would be an FDM printer. That would be the normal printer. I have seen people do that. I've never tried to do that. Basically, you just put down a couple of layers of plastic onto a like t-shirt, and then it's there forever because it's like melting plastic onto the t-shirt. I haven't tried that yet. Because I have other ways of making t-shirts that are a little bit easier, at least for me. So I haven't tried it, but that's a fun thing. I have seen it online.
Here's a question for you. Have you
great.
done a video of an actual print?
No, I haven't. So there are ways to do that. You can't do it manually, and you don't want to do it manually because then your camera just sits there for literally 24 hours. But there's a thing that you there's a thing that you hook up to the printer itself that takes one single picture every time it does a layer, and then it stitches them all together to make a video. So that's how you see those videos where it's just the printer head just going and just doing the whole thing.
Cool.
It just does a layer, stops, takes a picture, does a layer, stops, take a picture, and it does that the whole time. But there's like special software and stuff that you have to set up. You can just use a webcam for it. You can use any camera, but it just takes a picture and then just stitches them all together. So that's how you get the really smooth, and you just leave it like on a tripod so it's not moving around.
Yeah, because otherwise you would do a time lapse video, and that would take
forever.
Camera would just be sitting there. Yeah,
recording for 24 hours. Yeah, so it's kind of not the best. But I haven't done it, but there are definitely ways. There's so many videos out there. I haven't felt like setting up the whole rig to make that happen.
I mean, but no one's printing rainbow horgons.
Not no one but me. I mean, maybe they are, but I'm definitely
maybe they
doing it. But buy them from us, not from someone else, please. Slicers. Okay, so I I don't know what those
Yeah.
look like. 52 vacuum desiccation for rending. I don't know what those look like. If I knew what they look
Oh.
like, I could probably recreate it, which is a whole other episode, which is creating 3D models from scratch, which is not easy, but
But you have done it because of all the
yes.
interesting scraggly.
That's the kind of what this looks like when they're doing the printing the people in Westworld. That's like an FDM, like where they're like printing
Oh.
each like piece or whatever. P.S. Shout out to Evan. I love you and I support you in everything.
Yay.
So your slicer. There's a bunch of different ones. Cura is probably the most popular one. Cura is probably the most popular one. It has a wide variety of different printers that it can create for. Lots of people use it. It's a great slicer. I use it sometimes. The one that I use now for the Prusa actually makes their own slicer.
Oh.
Which is kind of like a closed system like Apple, where the hardware and the
I was
software
just
work
gonna
really
say,
well
that's
together.
what it
Yes.
sounds like.
It's like Apple, where your apps are written specifically for the hardware, so they know how to use it, so they know that's good. So if you get a Prusa printer, you always want to use the Prusa slicer because it's specifically designed for that hardware. None of the other ones are like that, but it's like a closed system. But it's open source, like all of it's open source. But it's designed to work together, so that's why it makes it better.
Easy. Yeah, it makes it easy.
Yes. The hollow transmitter. I haven't made any for Chicago yet. I'm debating because my my resin printer is making the other things that I'm going to show you in a minute. And so I can't do both at the same time.
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say, yeah, Linda, I thought that was supposed to be hormones, not hormones.
I
But we'll take hormones.
If I could print hormones, oh dear. What in the world could possibly happen? So Cura is one. I also have Simplify 3D, which is the name of one. That one costs money. Cura is free. Prusa is free. Simplify 3D costs money, but it's a really good and really robust and really well updated slicer that I bought a while ago before I had a Prusa printer, and I wanted one. Cura was giving me some issues sometimes, and you'll kind of get that, right, as you kind of start going around and playing with it. You'll find that some slicers, for whatever reason, do better with some models or some printers. It's just the nature of the beast. So
yeah,
you kind of
that
have
was
to
gonna be
tinker
my
around with it.
question. Yeah, that was going to be my question as to whether or not like some of them work better with more smaller, intricate details, or do some of them work better
Yeah.
for like just a bigger print that is
Yeah.
more, I want to say square, but not square. Like it doesn't have as many ins and outs and minute details.
Right. Yeah, it really does depend. It's interesting. I never know exactly how. I never know until I try it, like what's going to work better with which slicer. It's interesting. One of the big
That is
things,
interesting.
which is on my thing now, is supports. And I have a for instance for this. So if you think about how I'm going to only be talking about FDM printers for a minute, we're the ones that lay down the plastic. But if you think about, like, I'll use my little Horgon for example, like this. If you think about this sitting on the build plate, right, and it's doing one layer at a time, once you get to something like this, where it's not attached to anything below, you have to have something for it to rest on because it's just printing plastic. Otherwise, the plastic just dribbles down, right? Or like in between here, like there has to be like a platform for it to rest on, right? Because it's just putting down one tiny layer at a time. And those are the supports for a print. And basically, your slicer that you're using will create those for you. It's really good at determining like where it needs to put the supports. And you can even tell it like at what angle do I need a support. So if it's like this, you don't need anything supporting it, right? If it's like this, it can kind of get it. If it goes up to here, it needs a support because it's just going to be printing on air, right? So it even has like an angle where you can set like how far you want it to add the support. Because the more support you add, it's using more material. Two, it's increasing the time that it takes because you have to print the support with it, right? You're printing something that you just have to throw away after the fact. So I'm going to show you my Horgon with supports on it versus how I take it off of the printer. So if you can see, this is how it comes off the printer with the supports attached. And see, like I was talking, like inside of here, it has to print all that stuff for support. And then afterward, you just peel it off and then you get with this. So when you get it off of the printer, a lot of times it's this.
Is it difficult to get the support off sometimes or no?
That's a good question. And that also depends on the slicer you use and what settings you use. Because the different slicers have different algorithms for how they decide what supports to put on it. Like this one is the Prusa, but when I use Simplify 3D and my other machine, the supports are completely different, and they
Oh,
peel
that's
off
interesting.
different and whatever. So it kind of chooses like how it wants to do it. There's no like one best way. They just choose
Yeah.
based off of what algorithms they've written to try and support whatever it is. Some of them are super easy to get off, and some of them are annoying as hell to get off.
Yeah,
It
I
really
was trying to
depends.
find the one from the 3D printed police call box, wink wink, nudge nudge, because we can't call it the real thing, the TARDIS. Yes, that. And I had I don't know where it went. Here it is. The
Oh,
support.
good. You can show that because I don't have the one.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a
So
good
this,
example. So I have the police box. What's a TARDIS? Whatever. I
right.
have the rainbow TARDIS
That's
here,
what it's
but
TARDIS.
it has this big hole in the model, so there's no way
Right.
for it to print the top on without it. And so when you have one of it prints that inside of here, and then you just
Correct.
bloop, pull it out at the end, and then you
Right.
have this
Yeah,
hollow thing.
this
There was
I
no reason
remember
for me
was
to print inside of here.
easy. Yeah, it was easy to
Yes,
like grab it and then twist and pull. It
and
wasn't
just pull it right out.
difficult to
Right.
come out. Yeah,
Right. But
I
if I do
remember
the
that. But
Horgon,
yes,
like I'll
this
show
is
you
the thing.
for instance, like these on the front are super easy. I can just pull them and they're gone. Like that's the end of it.
Oh,
Gone,
there you
done.
go.
But then these
Easy.
ones on the side, like I can't even like
Yeah.
pull it. I can't do it with my hand. I got to use the like pliers.
So you
And
got to
just
be
yank it
careful.
off
Okay.
there. It doesn't even mess up the model. It's just the fact that it's
Oh,
so like big, like but you got to yank it off. So usually when I'm watching TV, I'm there with pliers, like yanking the parts off of models.
while you're watching the new episodes of Discovery and Picard, which I haven't watched yet, and I have to
I'm
catch
not
up.
going
And
to
don't give
say
me any
anything. I
spoilers.
had to stop halfway through Picard to do this actually, but I did
Oh,
watch Discovery, and all I'm going to say is just go watch it, go watch it, go watch it, go watch it.
yeah.
I'm
The
so excited.
interweb spoiled one thing already. It's fine.
Yes,
It's okay.
same. It's all over the
It's
place.
okay.
I know.
I
Think I
know.
know what it is, but I'm not going
Yeah,
to say
we
what
all
it
know
is,
what it
just in
is. We
case.
won't.
We all know what it
Yeah,
is. But it was a great surprise. I'm very
yeah,
excited for it.
yeah,
But go watch. But yes,
yeah.
so yeah, that was a really good example of like that prints out inside of here because there's no reason to print plastic in here, right? You're never going to see it. Like it's just useless. So they left
Right.
this hole here because you're just wasting plastic, which costs money and time and everything else. So you want that to be hollow. And the other thing is, I don't have a good example of it that I can show you visually, but inside of like the Horgon, for example, I'll use this one. Inside of here, for example, it's not solid plastic. There's actually there's like crisscross pattern inside of it that holds it together, but it's not solid plastic because once again, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
Melissa,
thanks. I was just
yeah,
gonna say
yeah,
thanks, Melissa.
yeah. Got your hair done for 10 forward the other day, which was
I did. It was a refresh. It's still the same color. She didn't actually. I love my hair gal. Shout out to Mariah. She's fabulous. So if you live in
love it.
LA and you need a new hair person, I can hook you up. So
Oh, nice,
anyway.
nice. That's so funny. Me too. If you're a boy, I need a hair person. I don't know. I think my guy doesn't do girl. Oh, he does. He does color. If you need color, let me know,
Oh,
Nikki. Hold up. All right, I have a guy. Just in case, he'll hook you up. In case your girl doesn't. It's
hilarious.
gorgeous.
She's great. No, I love her.
That's good. Yeah. So inside of here, it's not solid plastic.
Right.
There's actually like a crisscross pattern of plastic in. Obviously, it has to have some
So
plastic.
not quite like this, but
Not quite
kind
like
of
that,
like
but
how
similar
this
to
is.
that, right?
Right.
Because you want to have something inside of there to keep it sturdy and to give it a little bit of heft. But if it's complete plastic, it'll take forever to print. And once again, you're wasting product because it's in there. You're never going to see it, right? So when you
Right.
pick up one of these, it'll probably feel lighter than you expect because it's hollow about half of the inside. And that's one of the settings that you can choose in the slicer is how much stuff you want on the inside. You can set it to 100% and it'll just be pure plastic through and through.
You're gonna do that when you
Takes
want to just
forever.
like do a resin one then? Because that's like solid.
Potentially,
right?
yeah, probably so. That'd be
Yeah.
easier, yeah. Well, the resin ones don't have to be solid either. You can leave a hole
Oh.
and they can be hollow. The ones that I print are almost always solid because they're small. But if it's a bigger
Yeah.
one, you can leave a hole in the middle and it
Yeah.
just drains out as it's like printing.
Yeah. So when you are getting the file for whatever you're going to print, do people usually put recommendations of different settings and things, or is a lot of this just like you have to play with it and figure it out?
That's a
Or is
great
it both?
question. Yeah. People will put their recommended settings, which won't always work for you, but it's a really good starting point. Like they'll
Okay.
tell you, infill is the name of the setting for how much stuff goes inside of there. Infill is the setting. I usually use around like 25%. So it's 75% air and 25% plastic in there, basically, right? But you can choose. And the other thing that's really cool that I do specifically for the Horgons, because this point right here, this little point right here, it tends to break very easily. So what I do, there's actually special settings inside of the slicer where I say for this particular part, I want it to be like 70%, so it's stronger. And then for the rest of it, it's 25%. So you can actually choose different parts. And the other thing you can do is make the base 75%, so it's bottom heavy. So that way it doesn't like tip over and stuff. So you can choose different settings for where you want the plastic to go on the inside.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So intermediate, right? Yeah. So that's about supports and infill. I don't have a good example of supports for resin prints, but you have to have supports for resin prints, but those print upside down. So those are like this. So the supports for that are very different. They're actually in a tree formation. Like there's a little like branch that comes down and attaches to it. So there's somewhere for it to stick. I'll have to show you one time. It's really interesting. But those are actually tree supports. They're not this like weird like parallel situation. It's a little branch that comes down and then points it where it's about to print. So it has something to grab onto. So usually it's tree supports for a resin print.
Even when
situation.
Yeah. Do you have one of the Ranger tokens in front of you?
I don't have a Ranger token. I do have a. I can
it's small. So I was curious as to like. Even that thing that's that small. Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
Let's highlight.
Let's highlight what we'll be selling in Chicago. So it was you and I and Stephanie who is out there in the audience. We were at the pop-up Star Trek
exhibit at
Skirball Thank you at the Skirball Center. Yes, thank you so much. Where there was just a whole collection of fun Star Trek props and memorabilia and all kinds of stuff. And one of the things that I saw there and took a picture of was Dabo tokens, because I have never seen a Dabo token out in the wild anywhere. But they had some that were actually like screen used at the convention at the exhibit, obviously, because that's what that was for. And I was like, I have never seen a Dabo token for sale.
They were cool.
So I took a really close-up picture of it, and then I designed the model myself so that I could print it out. But here's an example of one of them. It doesn't have the coin in it. I'll put the coin in a second. I have it separated so you can see. But this is the Dabo token that I created and printed out. But yes, even this I put supports on it, but the supports for this, basically it's on the plate like this, and it's just these tiny, tiny little things that hold it on the very bottom of it that hold it to the plate. I don't want to stick it directly to the plate, because when you scrape it off the plate, sometimes it breaks. So I have the little supports. That way I just kind of peel it off and it's safe. And then I scrape the bottom little part off and it doesn't matter if it breaks. So even for tiny things, I do have supports for resin printing.
That's good to know. And also, side note, in the chat, people are talking about French fries and food, and I'm hungry.
I was hungry before, then we started talking about the amazing bodega, and then I was more hungry, and now French fries is making me even more hungry. That's fine. That's fine. It's whatever. It is what it is. Yes, so supports, infill. The other one is bed and nozzle temperature. So not resin, but the other one, melting the plastic, right? So there's a temperature for the bed itself where the thing prints on, and there's a temperature for the nozzle. Yeah. So the thing that it prints on is actually heated, and the reason it's heated is because it keeps it an even temperature and it doesn't curl. If it cools too quick, it'll curl. So I'm trying to think of a good example of what would make that happen in the real world where you would see plastic curl, but I can't think of one. So anyway, it does, right? But the edges will curl up and not stick to the thing until it's solid enough. So the bed is heated to prevent that from happening, and it keeps it stuck down. And the other printer that I have that's being a bad girl right now, she has this, it's a glass print bed where you print it, and it has a special coating on it that makes it stick to it when it's hot, and then when it cools off, it just pops right off. So it just, you just pick it right up. So that's also why the bed is heated, because that way you can hold it while it's hot, and then when it cools down, it just releases. So you don't have to worry about scraping or trying to honk it off of there. It just comes right off. It's kind of cool.
See, extra things you would never have known.
Extra things,
you
yeah. So
were-
if you get a Creality, Creality is the one that has that glass bed with a special coating on it. It's really cool, and it helps the print just pop right off at the end.
Oh, are we taking
Another
a
pro
moment
tip.
for a drink?
A moment for a drink, yes.
I just have water.
You just
Sorry.
have water. Mine's not just water. I decided to have some Irish whiskey, just one for the night.
There you go.
Because it's St. Patrick's Day. I'm not Irish at all, but it's fine. Whatever. What did I see earlier that reminded me of? I don't know. Star Trek. I don't know. It's gone. So the bed and nozzle temperature. So that's something that you can dial in that will help you with your prints as well. A lot of times, if the filament isn't coming out right, you might need to raise or lower the temperature of how hot it is. So it's usually around 200 degrees Celsius for a normal PLA. The other ones have different temperatures. PLA is the one I print at. Right now I'm printing at 210 for the Horgons. What can happen is either the layers will come apart if the temperature is too low, or if the temperature is too hot, it won't have time to cool enough, and then things will get gloopy. Yeah, so you really have to dial that in. All of the filament that you get, oh, awesome. All of the filament, that was for David. All the filament that you get will have a recommended temperature range on it. So start within that range. I usually start like right in the middle, but around 200 to 225 Celsius is the normal for PLA. But if you have a lot of stringing, that can be a temperature problem or a retraction problem, but that's a whole other issue. But it can be a temperature problem if you see stringing or if the layers are coming up. So you want to make sure you have your temperature dialed in as well. Bed temperature is almost always the same for the same kind of plastic. Gloopy. Bed temperature is almost always the same. Like my bed temperature is set at 60 degrees Celsius for every print all the time. That one you don't have to dial in quite as much, but because the filaments are made out of different chemicals and weird stuff, the printing temperature can be a factor to make it better as well.
I'm sorry, I have to show this, and then just all I kept thinking was, hang on, Gloopy, Gloopy.
That's the technical term for it.
Gloopy. So the temperature thing, like, is that something? I mean, obviously, you said you start with the recommended, but is that something that you've just had to play with?
Yeah.
I think I've even seen one. I've seen one where you've done it, and what happened? Something I remember, it was either too hot or it wasn't hot enough, and it, like, the filament was not stuck in there. But I remember I was over at your apartment and something happened, and it was just like it got clogged or something. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, it can get clogged too. That's cat hair, not the temperature. It depends. That's what's going on with her now. Is she's clogged and she keeps getting clogged, and I don't know why, and it's annoying the hell out of me.
Oh, so that's not a temperature thing.
No, I don't know what it is. It's really strange that she keeps getting clogged, and something else is wrong with it. Anyway, it's a whole big thing, and I keep having to like change parts out. It's a pain in the butt. I did print 2 of these amazing crystal dragons with her before she went down for the count, though, which is great. I can show this now just because.
Yes.
This is a great example of what you can do with a printer instead of like this one solid thing. I have this rainbow crystal dragon that actually articulates, and this came off the printer like this. Like I didn't do anything, I didn't connect anything, I literally just lifted off the printer and it was like this. So there's a lot of fun stuff that you can do. Basically what it's doing is it's just leaving very small spaces in between because it's so intricate. It can leave spaces in between and build the socket and ball as it's printing up, and then it's just at the end it's permanent, right? There's no way to get these apart. It's done. But I have this fun crystal dragon.
Yeah.
So I have printed 2 of these. This is my first girl here. But these are so cool, and they look so cool, and it just comes right off the printer like that. So
like no support structure, anything like that.
Nothing, straight off the printer.
It's just straight off the page.
Someone did a really good job of designing that, though. Obviously, that's not just a random one. They designed it on purpose to be 3D printed all in one thing. So when they're like designing all the things, it's like designing the ball and the thing. So basically, the ball is a little bit lower and whatever. Yeah, it works. And it's pretty cool.
Tell everyone why you printed those, because that came out of a what's wrong with my replicator. It was like you solved a problem out of a problem, whatever.
Right. Because I mean,
No. Talk about the reason why you printed the dragons.
What do you mean?
Because the filament. that you
Oh
got.
yes.
Wrong.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
So,
yes. So no,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. Yes. I was like, I just wanted to. No, it was the filament. You're
No,
totally right.
it
So
was because you had a problem. You had to
I
use
had
the
a problem.
filament.
Yes. So what had happened was there has been a shortage of the right filament on Amazon that I use. The filament that I use for these, the color it changes really fast. So I don't do anything to these. It comes off the printer just like this, right? But just like this, I take the things off and it's done. But the filament changes color by itself. Like on the roll, it just goes through different colors, but it changes really fast. So like there's only like this much red, then this much orange, this much yellow on the roll. But they were out of fast changing rainbow filament, and they didn't send me the wrong one. I accidentally ordered the wrong one. And it was a slow change filament. So basically, when I printed one of these, the whole thing was red because it hadn't changed yet, because it was like so long red and then so long orange. And so I was like, what the hell do I do? I got to print something that's really long. So then I found the dragon, and it uses much more filament between the colors. And so that's why this worked out as a rainbow, because it used so much filament between the colors. But it worked out really well.
So it was a solution to a problem. So there you go. There's the solution to a problem. David actually has a very good question that I'll pop up.
Oh, great. Okay, so you know what? I'm still struggling with this, David, and I don't know. Mine is clogging frequently, and I have a feeling what it is that the nozzle is dragging on the print bed, and there's still some adhesive on it from the previous one, and it's clogging up the nozzle, and I have to change the whole freaking nozzle. Because I've gone through the process you're supposed to go through for cleaning it, which is heat it up really hot, and then you stick this like acupuncture needle up inside of it and try and like push it out, and it just does not. It's not working for me, so I have to change.
Bad visual.
I know, it's really bad. Luckily, nozzles are cheap, but I don't want to have to keep changing it because it's a pain in the butt every time I have to do it. So I still haven't quite dialed in why it's happening, but time will tell.
There you go.
So I'm trying to figure that out. The Prusa does not do that because it's amazing. I have not had that problem at all. Yeah, part chainsaws are really annoying for sure. Not a fan at all.
Nope.
I'm checking my list for other things. Okay, so I haven't talked. Okay, printer calibrate. I do want to talk about the slicing and the on the other side for the resin prints. So when you slice these, same thing. You have to put it into thing. The only one that I use for this is called Cheetah Box, and I think that's the most popular slicer. I don't know what that means.
It sounded like Cheeto Box, but that's probably not it.
It's Cheeto Box. I don't know what that means, but that's the slicer that everyone uses for resin prints. I don't know why. I don't know what the heck it is. But use that for this same thing. And you can kind of dial in like how you want the supports to be and the resolution, which is basically how many layers or how much distance between layers. You get a much better resolution out of these than you do with these. So my resolution for Horgons is about 0.12 millimeters per layer. The ones I can get for these are 0.01 millimeters per layer. So it's crazy. Like it just looks like a solid piece of plastic. Like you can't even tell that it was on printer at all.
Yeah.
So you get much better resolution.
I've looked at the difference between some of them that we've had at our tables. And it's interesting to see how like the resin, it literally just, you can't see the striation lines or anything like that.
Yeah. With these, sometimes you can kind of see them. These actually do pretty well. And they're supposed to be wooden, so it kind of matches.
It works.
So 0.01 millimeters I can get out of the resin printer. It's crazy. The resolution is great. I don't know why you need any smaller than that. It's ridiculous. It's like an atom at that point. Supports, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so the slicer that I use is Cheeto Box for the resin, just FYI. I've never used any other
Box.
I know, that's funny.
No, I love Cheetos.
Hello. I know, right? Food. Hello. Welcome. Awesome. Okay, what else do I have? How much time do I have? I have about 15 minutes left.
Yeah, like 15 minutes.
All right. One thing that will always get you and bite you in the butt is bed leveling. So the place where you print has to be exactly level. And that doesn't mean level to the floor. It just means level to itself. So everywhere that little thing touches has to be exactly the same height from before, because otherwise it doesn't know where it's printing, right? And if it's higher or lower, then it squishes it or it just spits out into thin air. So it has to be exact. So the first thing that you ever do is level the bed. They always tell you level the bed, level the bed, level the bed. And there's various ways to do that. You have to look it up for your particular printer and what you're doing, but that's the first thing to do to make your prints come out good is level the bed. So it has to be just exactly the same distance from the whole thing.
Yeah. Do you do that on a machine or like, okay, I'm going to ask a dumb question. Do you do it with an actual level?
Oh, not a level because it's not from the floor. So
Oh,
basically what you
okay.
do is you send it down to 0 and then you use the way that they always recommend you use, but you can use whatever, is you just use a piece of paper and you slide a piece of paper under and you should feel it tug a little bit. And that means it's far enough from the bed, but that's exactly how far it needs to be, is like a piece of paper. And then you move it and you do the same thing. And if it doesn't tug, you got to adjust the screws so that every single one of them is exactly right. So you just move it around and do the piece of paper and tug all the way around until every single spot on the plate feels exactly the same where you're moving the paper.
Wow.
It's crazy and annoying. It takes a lot.
If you're not, okay, so here's a question because we were just talking about this. If you're, like you said, you think your nozzle is dragging, right? Could it be that your bed is unlevel?
It could, yes. However, what ends up happening is you level the bed and then for some reason it's not level after it and you have no idea why. I think the reason is that the way that you do it are these 4 or sometimes 3 screws that just hold it in place. And because it's like a spring under it, if it starts to give any, then even that like, 1/10 of a millimeter is enough to throw the whole thing off. So if it jostles just a little bit, it can throw the whole friggin' thing off.
I mean, it's been a little while, but we have had an earthquake.
Yeah, it's true. Even that can like anytime you move it literally from the table to another place, you have to level the bed again because anything could jostle a little bit. It's ridiculous. It's awful.
So maybe you have to check the level of the bed.
I have several times.
Oh.
The other problem is that this is an advanced class and not an intermediate class, but there's something called the Z level because that tells it exactly how far offset from 0 it needs to go. And the reason I have that is because I have this little sensor on it that builds a mesh in case the bed is womped in any way, if it's what's the word I'm trying to think of, if it's warped. So like if the piece of glass itself has a warp in it and like one side is 1 millimeter higher than the other, there's nothing I can do about that. So I have this little sensor on it that goes and finds all the points that are a little bit higher or a little bit lower. But because of that, you have to have a base level that's up above where the like highest one is, and that's the Z level. So anyway, there's a lot involved. No math quiz.
Yeah, that's I would need to like Google that and find a YouTube video because
there's a lot. There's a lot. Okay. So bed leveling, always do that. Belt tightening, make sure everything's tight. Bed adhesion is an interesting one. So like if your print isn't sticking to the bed, this is a really good one actually. Because when it starts printing, it just puts down a tiny line of plastic, right? And sometimes it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick to the bed at all. Like it just comes right the hell off. But some things that you can do about that, if it's a glass bed, you want to spray it with alcohol and wipe it down. It can look exactly the same, but if you touch it with your finger, the oil in your finger can rub off and make it not stick. So you don't want to touch the thing at all between when you like have cleaned it and when you print, because literally just like touching it can make it not stick to the thing at all, because the oil in your finger, even though you can't see it, will make it not stick to the bed. So every time I print, I just spray it down with alcohol, wipe it with a cloth, and don't touch it, and then move away and start printing. So it's that's one thing. The other thing that you can do is hairspray. A lot of people will just spray it with hairspray, and that makes it just sticky enough in case nothing else is working. So it'll stick down to it, and then afterward it comes right off because it's just hairspray. But it's enough to hold that little tiny like sliver of plastic down. And
do you have a hairspray recommendation? Just asking.
I've never used hairspray. I actually have a special like it's like a little glue stick kind of situation, but it's liquid, but it's designed for 3D printing specifically. So at hot temperatures, it's sticky, and at cool temperatures, it releases. So I have this special stuff that I use, so I don't use hairspray. I hear Aquanet is great, though. I haven't ever tried it. I do hear Aquanet is good.
I think they like banned Aquanet. I don't.
It's such a staple.
It is.
Thank God I use Aquanet. So yeah, getting it to stick the first layer is so important, because if the first layer doesn't stick, obviously there's nothing for the second layer to stick to because it's not even there, and it'll just drag your print all over the bed. So wipe it with alcohol. Try hairspray. I have also used painter's tape. The only problem with painter's tape is that you have to get it lined up exactly, because you can't have any overlap, because that amount of overlap is enough to screw the print up.
That's insane.
It's a pain in the ass. There's so much. The 60s. Yes. It's still there. It's still out there, I think, though. Don't they? They definitely use it on set. I feel like they still use Aquanet.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I don't know. Yes, so getting stuff to stick to the bed is really important as well, because if the first layer doesn't stick, the whole thing fails. And so many things can go wrong getting the first layer to stick down to the bed. Once the first layer is a good laydown, you can kind of just walk away and be like, okay, I'm done. It'll be fine after this. Catastrophic things can happen that are unrelated, but once the first layer is there, you're good to go, usually. And then other things you can do to check the settings to make sure you're good to go are certain prints that they have. So there's actually little things that you can print out that are designed to show you how well the printer is printing, just a test, right? Instead of printing the big thing that you want to print and it looks ugly, they have little things that you can print to test. And they're specifically designed with failure points that will fail if something's not right. The most popular one is called a benchy. It's a benchmark, but it's a little boat. But there's little doorways on the boat and stuff like that are points of failure if your printer isn't calibrated correctly. And it's a quick print because it's just this little tiny boat, but there's very specific points where it can fail. And if you see a point that's messed up, you're like, oh, I know it's this that failed. So you usually print out a little benchy and say like, oh, my bed is leveled, my heat is right, my things are right. It's specifically designed to fail at points if something's not right, which is cool.
That's helpful. That's very helpful.
Yeah. So if you see you'll see it all over the place. It's just this cute little boat, and it's called a benchy. And it's basically the benchmark to make sure that your printer is set up correctly.
Yeah.
There's also a calibration cube, which you will see very often, which is just an XYZ on a little cube, and it'll tell you which plane is the problem. It can be the Z, the X, or the Y plane, and you'll just read the letter on the side of it, and whichever one is womper-jawed is the one that's having the problem. So if it's the Z bed, it's the one that's going up and down. You're welcome for that.
Womper-jawed, that goes along with gloopy.
It does. It's cattywampus. I got all the words. I'm literally a 1920s person. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I love it.
So yes, have there been any other questions? There's so much going on. I'm just talking.
Oh no, they were talking about taking naps earlier. They're enjoying themselves in the chat.
Oh god, I love it. I love it too. Womper-jawed. So the last thing that I want to go through really quickly, outside of the things to check for when you're printing, is how I came up with and went through the process of doing the Dabo tokens. So what had happened was I saw the Dabo token, right? As you can see, this one just has a big hole where the coin is supposed to be. And the coin eventually looks like this. It's a coin with Quark's head on it. So if you see an actual Dabo token, the coin is inside of there. I have tried several times with different prints. Oh, it's stuck in there forever now. I have tried several times with different prints to have two colored things where I like painted them, and it's so much drama with like taping it off and spray painting it. I did that with the hollow emitters. I had to like tape them off and spray because they're multicolored, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that with this because that was annoying as hell. So what I did was I designed it with that hole in it, and then I designed this coin and printed it out. And I'll try and show you this. But if you see this one, it's made out of the same material as the actual thing itself. But then I just spray painted the coin by itself before I stick it in there, and then I just super glue it in there, and it makes the whole thing. And a really fun tip for these as well is...
I was going to say, keep going.
Is that if you see this one, I don't know if this will work. It comes off the printer like this. It's kind of matte, but then I wanted it to be shiny like glass, right? Because that's what they actually look like on the show, is the shiny glass situation. But they come off the printer a little matte and kind of like not fuzzy looking, but it's just not shiny at all. So my amazing tip for that I learned somewhere else that I didn't figure out myself, so don't give me credit for it. But I take clear resin that you put in the printer. It's just totally clear, and I brush it on, and then I cure it, so it gives it this like glass like kind of situation, because it's just painted on and cured, and it has enough time to sort of settle into like a glass looking situation, and then I just cure it immediately, and then it's like that forever. So that's what I'm doing to all of these to make them look more like a jewel versus just like this flat plastic.
That's cool. No, I thought you were going to talk about, if people follow Randy on his socials, he found a hack for the little coins to spray them all very fast, and also so they didn't go all over the place.
Yes.
Which is a strip of painter's tape.
Yes.
That's face up, so the sticky side is up, and he
yes.
stuck all the coins on there, and then just went.
And then just spray. Yes.
Spray painted.
That's a great trick for anything
that
you spray paint that's tiny.
Like, that's amazing.
Yes. UV cure for the clear resin. Yes, correct. Yeah, it's basically just the same resin that you would print with, but I just pour it in a tiny cup and then just use a paintbrush and paint over it, and then I just zap it with a UV light. I have a couple of different UV lights that I use. You can even just get one that they use for your fingernails at the salon. You can get those off of Amazon for like $8. It's just the one that you like put your fingernails under, but it's the same thing. It's just a UV light. So you just zap it with a UV light. It takes like 5 seconds, and it's hard, and then it looks like glass. So it's the same resin that you would print with, but it's just that one single layer, so it's super smooth. Nice. But yeah, the painter's tape to paint things is a really good tip too. I just put down a layer of painter's tape face up, stick all the coins on, and then spray, because otherwise they go flying everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, so that is a really good tip for painting anything that's small and would fly away. If the jostle from the spray can is enough to make it fly, stick it to painter's tape and it works.
Yeah.
Like
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Thank you. 5 minutes. Yeah. So for this, you don't really have to worry about it if you're using 3D printer resin, because it's specifically designed to like level itself out like that. So just a coat with a paintbrush is all you need, and it's always fine. If you're using resin that cures by itself, like 2-part resin, that's different, and you do have to watch out for bubbles with that. But with UV resin, you just paint it on, and it just sets, and you're good to go.
That's cool.
Okay, I'm going to stop talking because we only have a few minutes left, and
I know.
See if anyone has any other
questions.
I just talk so much about 3D printing; it's amazing.
I know.
I could go on for hours.
We had a bunch to get through, and of course, my peanut gallery comments. Get us.
And feel free to like tweet us or whatever, or Facebook us if you have any questions about what we talked about, or more ideas. Please let me know. I'm always trying to come up with new things to print. So our merch for Chicago is going to be these Dabo tokens. I have several colors. I have red and green are my main colors. I have some blue ones. I tried to print purple, and it doesn't work because the black light is purple, and it just fails. So I have red, green, and blue. But my main ones are going to be red and green. So I'm going to have Dabo tokens for sale in Chicago. So please stop by and come. I will have other things too. Of course, I will have a million rainbow Orgons for sale as well, because I'm printing those because they're 2 different printos. But yes, come get Dabo tokens. Come get rainbow Orgons. Dabo. Chase will be there. So yes, come by and say hello. Choir.
Yes.
So I don't normally message us, and I can talk, because I know it's hard for you guys to get stuff, and especially to get to a convention. So please just message us, and I will be happy to make an exception.
Because Randy does have an actual job. This is his side gig and whatever. He doesn't. We don't actually do any like online selling. So everything is always when we're at a convention and in person. So yes, there are some exceptions that we've made depending on the situation. But obviously, if you are at any of the conventions that we're at, come to our table. There's, like Randy said, there's always different stuff. We usually have our staples, right? For the Trek conventions, we have the rainbow Gorgons and some other things. But we do try to change it up and have some different fun new things. And especially
for example.
Right, exactly. And as new Discovery episodes come out and new Picard episodes come out, and with Strange New Worlds.
I do have Ranger tokens. I don't have one in front of me, but we do sell Ranger tokens as well for Picard.
Ranger tokens. So we're always doing fun and new things that are just fun. And if you guys have any suggestions of things that you would like to see
Send them
done,
along. Send them along.
let us know.
I have done
Let us
other stuff
know.
in the past. I do have oh, hold on. I can pull it out really quick because I have it here.
Oh.
I do have a hypo spray.
Oh yeah.
That has actual liquid in it.
I know, I love that. I love that you
So
did
like
that.
and it says the thing. So like I can make other stuff, but some of it's just so time consuming that I usually just make it for myself or just as a one off or whatever. But I can make a hypo spray with actual liquid in it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if you have any ideas for stuff, please drop them off to us, and we'll see what we can do as well.
I think we have like 1 minute left, so we would just want to say thank you again to Ryan and the whole crew at Virtual TrekCon. We are so excited to be a part of this weekend, and we're looking forward to who won all the LAAP awards.
I know, I can't wait to see who wins all the Lappies. Yes.
And if you want to watch us again, it'll be different combination of our crew. We have another panel on, let me see if I get this right, Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. And Saturday's panel, I believe, is talking about metaphor. I don't know the panel names. And then I know Sundays is disco too dark. Like that's the other one.
Awesome.
Yes, the metaphor storylines of LGBTQ storylines. That's what Saturday is. Metaphor to actual storyline, going from like TOS and TNG into the new track with actual LGBTQ storylines. See, I fixed that.
Awesome. Yes.
So there we go. So thank you
so
everyone
much
for joining us.
Thank you, Virtual TrekCon. Thank you, participants. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We really appreciate you. Have a great rest of your night.
Good night.
Bye.